Hare Krishna, everyone. So I'll give a brief introduction of how I got into Krishna consciousness. I've been trying to be Krishna conscious, very far from it, of course. I've been with Krishna consciousness for the past 2 years. So I'll just start at the beginning. I was born in Illinois. I'm in Illinois right now. I'm an Illinois person. My father was a very passionate Christian. He would read the Bible to my brother and me almost every night. I always looked forward to that. He would take us to Christian church, Sunday school, a lot of fun times. And my mother was a Catholic. They had met in a Christian church, actually. But then my mom got sick. She had a brain tumor because she was working with radioactive material. She got a brain tumor, and then she got a little, her personality changed a lot, so she went back to Catholicism because that was what her family history was. And anyway, so my mom was since I was about 3 years old, that's when she started getting sick, and then it progressively got worse. So that was always a big thing in my upbringing. And so my mom was always sick, and then one day my dad died when I was 10 years old. He had fallen out of a tree when he was a young boy, and that messed up his heart, and it got him when he was 47. So that was a huge shock to everyone. And my mom couldn't take care of us, so we moved just to the next town over to live with my aunt and uncle. And to put it bluntly, there wasn't like a great loving connection with that aunt and uncle. And it really felt like karma. I got swooped up with the wrong crowd, with the wrong group of friends. And so at around like 13, way too early, I did get involved in some marijuana usage. And then throughout high school, like I would use marijuana, on and off, and it would always affect me like a lot more than other people. Like I would get like super paranoid, freak out. Not a good fit for me. And my mom died when I was 19. So through high school, I was like, you know what, I need to do something with my life. So I joined the Navy, and then that probably, like, I sometimes think like that was like my mom was holding on for me and my brother. We both kind of left town, and so she died when I was 19, when I was in the Navy. I was in the Navy for 6 years, didn't touch any drug, any marijuana. I've never been a big drinker at all, so that was good. I was just working, on a ship. It was good. I didn't like it. I mean, after like a year and a half, I was like, get me out of here, but I finished the contract. And then, so yeah, that was good. That was a formative time in my life. And so I get out of the Navy. I did inherit some money because both my parents are now, you know, they've passed away, and they had a house, and I got some money from the selling of that house. So I was able to not work for a long time, and I was taking care of my grandpa who had dementia, and he passed away. And I had met a girl who was on a business trip. She came to Chicago, and we clicked, and I moved to Mexico, and I lived in Mexico for 5 years. And you know, that was just a huge cultural shock, huge learning experience. Became obsessed with learning Spanish. And now throughout all this time, basically when I was 19, when I was in the Navy, when I started the Navy, I basically, like, obsessive compulsive disorder, like, overpowered me. That was basically, like, I would say that was the defining feature of my 20s, of just like, what the heck is going on here? I had like the checking type of OCD, of like making sure doors are locked, making sure the oven is off. So huge material energy overpowering me. And I was into, I was like always searching for answers. I got into like critical theory, psychoanalysis, you know, so Freud, Lacan, Gilles Deleuze, who's a philosopher, just trying to find like what is going on with my mind, how, you know, it was so, but I was functioning. I seemed like a very normal person, but it was really tough psychologically. I was always having to do like these little rituals to make sure things are okay. And in order, because if I like, you would get this uncertain feeling that like things are wrong, like, or something, you know, the oven's on, and then you almost forget about that, but you just feel like you have this terrible negative feeling in you. And I would always feel like I'm like contaminating the social atmosphere, like I'm making people, I'm like spreading my anxiety to other people. So it's just bonkers. And like I said, just huge material energy overpowering me. It was terrible. And that was, like I said, so that was all through my 20s. I moved to Mexico. I still had this very terrible problem. And then I eventually found Buddhism, and that provided me some relief. Meditation. There was some mantra meditation. But just like, they have so many meditations. I was into Tibetan Buddhism, and I was just, you know, looking at books on my own, but I was very passionate about it. I was very focused on it, dedicated, because it was providing me some relief from OCD. The girl I met, you know, she's my wife now. She's an amazing person. Her whole family was just amazingly welcoming to me in Mexico. She's here now in the US. She just got here a few months ago, and she's a Catholic, but you know, she's just a great person. But anyway, so I quit. You know, I'm not, marijuana is like really not, I guess it's a complicated relationship. So a year after the Navy, I would maybe once every 3 months, I would get the urge to smoke. And so I would smoke marijuana, freak out, think that I'm causing all these problems in the world, think that I'm you know, it's just super bad luck for me. So I would you know, satisfy the urge, get it out of my system, feel really bad, and then not do it for another several months, maybe 5 or 6 months in between doing it. So it was relatively under control. And you know, aside from the OCD thing, which is terrible, and all these other material sufferings, life was good. You know, I already told you everything. So anyway, so I after being in Mexico for about 5 years, I decided, you know what, I'm going to come back to the US and get my degree. And my wife was still not with me because we were waiting on her paperwork. So one night, you know, I get this urge to consume marijuana. So I do, alone in my apartment, and I'm freaking out, having the worst, I felt like there was a demon in me that I needed to exercise out, I guess is the word, just get out. I was doing all these physical movements of trying to get this thing out of me, just freaking out. And then I always think okay, I do this, there's going to be terrible things that are going to happen, my wife's going to get sick, or there's going to be a new surge of COVID or something, absolutely bonkers, crazy stuff. So at this time, I'm still you know, I consider myself a Buddhist. But so this night of tripping out, I stumble upon Krishna Life YouTube video. Thank God. And yeah, and it just immediately grips me. I'm just, you know, everything seems okay, this is specific information. So I look up Srila Prabhupada. The next day, I buy on Kindle The Science of Self-Realization. That previous night, I think I put in the comments section to hey, you know, I'm interested in this. They had a monk retreat that I was asking information about. So, and then that next day I was on the phone with one of the one of the brahmacharis at Krishna Life, and that day I had been reading Science of Self-Realization, and I was okay, this is very interesting. And I signed up for the monk retreat that was going to happen in a month. So within that month, I continue reading Science of Self-Realization. I start chanting a little bit, and the chanting immediately diminishes the symptoms of my OCD. And then, you know, I felt, I guess this happens to everybody in the beginning, you know, yeah, you feel really good, a lot of positive energy, a lot of good connection with other people. And so it was like, I was very already pretty sold on the power of the holy name. And then I went to the monk retreat, and by that time I was already like very convinced of everything I just said, of the power of the mantra, the Maha Mantra. And then the monk retreat was just, it was amazing. I mean, the monks there, the whole system they have there is just impeccable. I always say to people, like, I do know saints. If we're, in the Catholic jargon, it's like, these people are saints. They're amazing people. I'm still just in awe of all the monks at all the brahmacharis at Krishna Life. I'm still just in amazement of Srila Prabhupada, of ISKCON. Thankfully there's a ISKCON temple 15 minutes from where I live. So Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, I mean, I still, I have respect for it, because, the little that I do know, that, Lord Buddha was an incarnation of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, and it served a certain purpose. But I mean, it's obvious, Krishna consciousness is it makes Buddhism seem very pale in comparison. So yeah, my standard is 8 rounds a day. I don't always meet that, but that's my goal, and I hope to soon exceed that. And so I can never imagine leaving Krishna consciousness. I could never imagine abandoning this path. I mean, it's an amazing path. In terms of OCD, it's a neurosis which is prevalent, especially in American society. I mean, there are all types of different mental illnesses. I mean, I still have to, like, if I don't do chanting every day, I will get symptoms of that. So that's a big, I hate to say it, but that's a big motivator for me to just keep doing the chanting, in order to not be overwhelmed by material energy. And I can interpret that in a lot of ways. Who knows if I'm completely off the mark, but I like to think of it as like almost like a gift from Lord Krishna saying, hey, come back to me. You're very me. I'm very cognizant of when I'm far away from Krishna, because I have the symptoms of OCD. So it helps me stay relatively firm in the path. And I'm thankful to have been exposed to this, and I hope that I wish you the best on your journey, because that's the only way we can be complete, is by aligning and attaching ourselves to the complete whole, Purnam. So again, I offer my humble obeisances to you, and